The spot we're standing is the site of the former Plaszow concentration camp. You're familiar with the name probably from Schindler's List. This is the place to which the Jews from the Krakow ghetto were brought when the ghetto was liquidated. About 150,000 people died here. The barracks were built to house 24,000 people. It was primarily a work camp. Although it wasn't a death camp per se, the conditions, as in most places, were horrible. Many people died of starvation, of cold, of disease, or simply being worked to death in the quarries and the factories nearby. The barracks here had no water, no heat, and there were no latrines. The commander of the camp was a particularly sadistic individual. For those who saw the movie Schindler's List, you recall the scenes of him standing on the balcony of his house and taking target practice at the Jews who wandered about in the camp. Sam Ron spent some time here, and in a moment he's going to talk to you about his experiences here. The monument behind us was built in 1964 by the Soviets. It was commissioned by the Soviets as a memorial to those who died at the hands of fascism. There's nothing on this monument that talks about Jews. The Soviets were not interested in the history of the Jews. Their concern was to be anti-fascist, and therefore everything they did was to show the evils of fascism without regard to what happened to the Jews here. We know the numbers we talk about. 6 million Jews, 11 million people, 150,000 who died here, thousands who died in other places. We get to the point where the numbers are an abstraction. They can't have any meaning to us. Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, the former chief rabbi of Israel, has taught us we can't think about 6 million Jews. What we have to do is think about one Jew 6 million times. And then we can begin to understand the depth of what happened. Each of those who died, each of our survivors, is an individual with their own life, their own family, and their own stories. And those stories are what's critical to us.
Let me tell you, this monument here, and others over Eastern Europe, it shows the tragedy of our people of Israel, Jews. I tell you why. They killed us as Jews, and they remembered us as citizens of Europe. I came here when they liquidated the ghetto, March the 13th, 1943. So we marched in here in this camp, and I'll tell you, when there was probably, I don't know, I was in black, I don't know how many camp it was, but I was in number 18. But we didn't have any showers, we didn't have any water in the thing. Probably with between 200 and 300 people in a barrack. There were three stories beds. I always stepped on the top because I probably was one of the youngest. So I tell you, this place here was, I was in many camps, but this was the most frightening place. Not because we were not very much hungry yet here. They still give us some food here. But this cry was nuts. This get, the commander of the get. You never know. Whenever he walked out, he shoot somebody, So really it was terrible. The other thing was, the first 2-3 months, I still was going out to work outside in the factory where I was working. When you came back from work, he was there standing, and if you had something, you seen in the picture in the Schindler's List, he shoot somebody. Now, when I came in here, I had 14 members of my family here, my father, my mother, and a younger brother, 3 years old. What that place was, we had here Jewish policemen. I mean, they were in charge inside. And one was the name of the commander, the Jewish one, Chilevich. And his wife was youth uniform. And he had a brother-in-law named Finkelstein. They were corrupt, terrible people, you know. Not only this, use them, you know. He was selling our bread. Chilevich was selling, forget, not for himself, selling our bread on black market in the city of Krakow. It's really hard to describe the condition.
Often we see the world as being divided between the good and the evil, the holy and the profane. This was a day of Kodesh. It was Shabbat. And now we create a separation between this day, this Shabbat day, and the week ahead, a week that we know will present many painful images and create for us memories that will forever be embedded in our consciousness. We have the ability as human beings and as Jews to sanctify time, to make it holy, to make it special. Havdalah is our recognition of that distinction between time which is holy and special and that which is not.
I just want to say one quick thing. Cantor Turnoff just reminded me of something very special. I'm looking at the Havdalah candle, and you can see that there are many different wicks that are forming one. I'm standing right here next to Rabbi Steinhardt, next to Rabbi Silvers. You have an Orthodox, you have a Reform, you have a conservative rabbi standing right next to each other. Next to it, an incredible female cantor. And what I can tell you is that if you take a look at the candle and you see each one of these wicks and different pieces that are interwoven together, but yet at the top they form one bright flame. And I hope that, you know, what makes the March of the Living so special for all of us is that we can come from such distinct and separate backgrounds, but yet celebrate an incredible ceremony tonight. And I really hope this is just the beginning of all of us coming together into that one flame that burns bright for the future of the Jewish people.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim lai la lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la lai 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 la la lai 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 la lai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh lai la lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la lai 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 la la lai lai la la lai Eliyahu Hanavi